Would you like to be able to create WordPress website on your local environment with the exact blueprint that you like, with the theme you like, the plugins you like, with a single line of code like this one from your terminal, and have your site up and running in just a few seconds? Well, I have received a lot of questions about my development environment, so today I will walk you through the exact setup of this environment. But before we start, I have to tell you that I'm using something called Laravel Valet, which is a development environment for macOS. So if you are not a Mac user, you will certainly find value in this video, but I have to warn you that you will have to find a Valet alternative for your operating system. And before we jump into action, let's have a look at what we are talking about. We are in my terminal and I have a bash script that I can run using the sh command. My script is WP for WordPress, CR for create, BR because this one will be a bricks blueprint.sh. And then I give it the name of the website I want to create, for example, demo. And I can give it optional parameters, admin for the username and password for the password, but these are optional. And if I don't give anything, the system will create a default username and a password for me. So let's run it. So the site was already created and now the script will run some configuration. And first it will secure the site for HTTP access. For this, it needs to access my system parameters to add this site to the list of trusted sites. So it needs my password. It's now restarting the server. It's installing my theme and plugins, updating them, activating the license keys. And now it opens my new site at demo.test. As I didn't give it any parameters, it did create a username of admin and generated a random password. And inside WordPress, Bricks has been activated. Actually, Bricks child theme has been activated. The license is active. And for my plugins, it did install Metabox from the WordPress repository. It did install the premium version, Metabox AIO, and it did install OxyProps. And of course, licenses are installed and active for both plugins. Maybe you noticed an additional one. The WordPress CLI login command server. This is the plugin that allows me to launch and log in automatically into WordPress from the scripts. We will discuss it a bit later. So now, of course, I can work with this site. And when I'm done and I don't need this website anymore, I can destroy my demo site. Of course, I have to confirm because this will delete the files and will also drop the database. Takes a few seconds and now the site was destroyed. So it's really easy to deploy a new site locally for test purposes and to remove it. Another interesting thing with Valet is that when I have my site, so let's create it again. So I am in my website, I've done some work on my local dev environment and I want to share my local site with someone from my team, or I want to show the progress to my client. Well, I can create an external link for my site. So let's try this. I will cd into my site. So let's clear the screen so we have a better view. And so now I'm inside my new site folder. If we have a look, we have our WordPress install. And I will expose my site. And I now get a shared link that can be used to access your website. So if that sounds interesting, let's have a look at how to build this local dev environment. If you have no idea how this works, it's okay. We will go step by step through the whole process. And by the end of this video, you will have Laravel Valet installed. You will know how to use WordPress command line interface. And you will have your script ready to generate your first local WordPress website. So first, let's go to the Laravel website. Here we are, laravel.com. And let's go to the documentation. And we are looking for a package. And the package we are looking for is Valet. And if we look at the introduction, this tells us that Laravel Valet is a development environment for macOS minimalists. So it's up to you if you want something simple, light, minimalist. It will configure your Mac to always run Nginx, which is the web server in the background where your machine starts. So you will have always your local development server active on your machine. Then it uses DNS mask to route HTTP request to the .test domains to the websites you will create on your machine. Valet supports a lot of systems, WordPress, of course, which is what we are interested in today. You can have a look at the other ones, but if you are a website developer and you are looking sometimes for alternatives to WordPress, I would suggest to look at Statamic, which is an interesting WordPress alternative. Okay, so let's look at the installation section. And this tells us that Valet requires macOS, of course. We have macOS and Homebrew. And before installing Valet, you must make sure that no other program, mainly web servers like Apache or Nginx, are binding already your local machine's port 80. But if you never installed a web server on your machine, you should be okay with this. And then we have the installation process. And the first step is to make sure that Homebrew is installed and up to date. So if you already know Homebrew, perfect, you can go ahead. If you don't know what Homebrew is, well, Homebrew is a package manager for macOS. Homebrew has a wide library of software for your Mac and makes installing and managing them very easy. So you can search the library for Inkscape, for example, which is a very nice open source vector graphics editor. And from Homebrew, you will be able to install it easily on your machine. Okay, so let's start with Homebrew installation. You will have to copy this command to your clipboard and paste it in your Mac terminal. So I am in my terminal. If you don't know where to find your terminal, you can just press Command spacebar and search for terminal. And you can launch your terminal app. Okay, so in my terminal, I will paste the command line and press enter. I need to enter my password, press enter. Okay, so now we have Homebrew installed on the machine and we can use it with the brew command. And to make sure it's installed correctly, you can type brew -- version and you will get that kind of information. If you don't get a version information, then something went wrong when you install. So you will have to run it again. Let's clear this window and go back to Laravel. So we have Homebrew installed and up to date. And now we need to use Homebrew to install PHP. So once again, we need to copy this command back to our terminal, paste the command, and run it. I already have PHP installed on my machine, so you see that I have this warning. It's already installed, but in your case, if PHP is not installed, this will install PHP on your machine. Once this is done, we need to install Composer. So let's go to the Composer website, and Composer is a package manager, a dependency manager for PHP. And to install Composer, we will use Homebrew again. So we will type brew install Composer. And you see that I have a warning because Composer is already installed on my machine, but in your case, this will install Composer. And we can now check that Composer is installed and running by running Composer version. And if you get Composer and any version number here, Composer is ready to run on your machine. So now that we have Composer, we can install Laravel Valet. And we need to copy this line. You can also click on the notepad icon to copy to clipboard. So this line will use the Composer package manager to install globally or require globally the Laravel Valet package. Let's run it. Perfect. And last thing we need to do now is to install Valet with this command valet install. I enter my password. This is my machine's password. Okay, so Valet is installed successfully, and now it is configured to serve any URL with the .test extension from our machine. So let's give it a try and ping anything. So let's try anything with the extension .test. And we have a successful response from the machine. Okay, to stop the ping loop, just press Ctrl+C. This will stop the execution. Let's clear the page. And we are done with installing Valet. So before we go further, just to make sure everything works, let's create a directory. I will call this directory WP-sites for my WordPress sites. And let's cd change directory into this new directory. So we now are in an empty directory. And I want to tell Valet that from now, any new folder in this directory will be one of my test website. And to achieve this, I'm inside the WP sites folder. And if I want to tell Valet that anything inside this folder will now be a website, I use the command valet park. I give my password again. And this directory has been added to Valet's path. Let's have a look. Valet's path. And I can find this directory in my path. Perfect. So let's create a test site directory and cd into this test site. Let's create an index.html file. You don't have to do this, that's just to demonstrate. But if you want to follow with me, you can do so. And I will open it with my text editor, and I use VS Code as my text editor. So I use the command code index.html. And this opens my HTML file. So let's create a very simple HTML file with a simple heading. Hello world. Let's save. And we just want to check if Valet is serving this website. So Valet open. And we now have our website served from testsite.test with our hello world. Perfect. So let's continue. Because for now, we have a system that serves web page. We checked it with our index.html page. But as we want to run WordPress websites, we also need a local database server. So if we look at the documentation for Valet, the documentation tells us to check DB engine. So if you want, you can have a look at DB engine and download this database manager. But this is not the one I use, so I will show you what I use on my local environment. And as we have installed Homebrew, we will take advantage of Homebrew and look for something called MariaDB. And MariaDB is a database. It's a direct alternative to MySQL. So let's copy this code back in our terminal, paste the code and press enter. Okay, once again, MariaDB is already installed on my machine, but in your case, this will install MariaDB. So that's perfect. Now we have a web server and we have a database. We now want to install the WordPress command line interface, WP-CLI. And this will allow us to run WordPress commands from our terminal. So let's go to wp-cli.org. And don't worry, you will find all links in the description. And down to installing. And once again, we will use Homebrew. And here is the command, brew install WP-CLI. So back to our terminal. Press enter. I won't do it because I already have WP-CLI installed and I installed it long time ago without using brew. So I don't want to mess with my installations, but just go ahead, press enter. And when it's done, you can check that it works properly by running wp-info. And if you get that kind of information, everything is okay. Let's clear the window. I hope you are okay and you are still with me. We are close to being finished. We have Valet installed. We have our database installed. We have WordPress command line interface installed. And now we need a last thing that will link WordPress CLI to Laravel Valet. And for this, we will use a script by Evan Matson, which is this one, the WordPress CLI Valet script. And for the installation instruction, let's click on the source button. This will take us to GitHub. And down in this long README file, installing. So of course we have Homebrew, we have installed Valet, we have WP-CLI working properly. And here is the command we want to run. So we can just click to copy, paste, and run. And here we are now ready to create our first local WordPress website. So first, let's get out of this test directory, back into my WP-sites. Remember, this is the folder that we did park in Valet. And back on the instruction, we can create a new site by running WP Valet new and the name of the site we want to create. So let's try this. It's clear and run WP Valet new demo. Okay, I have an error because I already created this one. So let's run WP Valet new demo. Our new site is ready. And let's try to log in. And as we didn't specify anything, this should be using the defaults admin and admin as a password. And here we are logged in our brand new WordPress website running in our local environment. And now, if I've done what I wanted to do with my website, some trials, testing things, I want to get rid of it and clear the database, I can use the command WP Valet destroy new demo. I have a warning, this will delete all files and drop the database. Are you sure? And there's no default, you have to confirm yes. The site was destroyed, and if I check, it's not there anymore. While we are here, let's also get rid of demo, and let's also delete this test site we created to demonstrate Valet is working, rm-rf test site, and here we are. Our directory is now empty. Okay, so now we have everything in place to create a WordPress install in our local environment. But what if we want to customize things, if we want to automate things, if we want to install themes, if we want to activate themes, if we want to install plugins, activate plugins, so that we have only one command to run and we get our website up and running with all our preferred themes and plugins already installed and ready to work. And this is what we will create in the second part of this video. So now we have everything in place, but we want to avoid typing command after command to set up our new site. And in order to automate this task, we will create a script, a bash script, that will execute a series of commands in our terminal. So directly in my WordPress sites directory, I will create a new file. To create a file in your terminal, you type the command touch, and my file will be wp-create.sh. Okay, so now my file was created, and I want to edit this file. So as you saw earlier, as a text editor, I use VS Code. Of course, you can use the text editor you want if you prefer another one, but that's the one I use. If you have no text editor, or if you want to switch to VS Code, you can download it. It's a free software, and you can download it from code.visualstudio.com. It will detect your operating system, so you just have to download it, install it on your computer, and you are ready to go. And with VS Code, in my terminal, I will type the command code. And if this command is not available for you, I will show you in a few seconds how to make it available. And by the way, in my terminal, you see that I have an auto-suggestion feature, which is very handy. I'm using Fig for that. That's not the topic for this video, but just for you to know. It's a very nice extension for your terminal. So code wp-create.sh, and this hopefully should open VS Code so I can edit my file. And that's perfect. We now are in VS Code on my file wp-create.sh and ready to start writing our script. So let's start writing our script, and to stay organized, let's start by writing a few commands to describe what we want to do. And to write a command in a bash script file, you start the line with the hash symbol. Maybe just before that, I told you that I would tell you how to add the VS Code command line in order to launch directly VS Code from your terminal. So here in VS Code, you can use the keyboard shortcut Command-Shift-P. This will open the command palette, and you can start typing shell, and the first line, shell command install code command in path, is the one you want to use. Okay, so now you should be able to run code directly from your terminal. So the first thing we want to do, I created this file at the root of my WP sites folder. But if for some reason I want to place this file somewhere else, this script file somewhere else, the first thing I want to do is to navigate to the site directory. Once I am in this directory, I want to create a new WordPress site with Valet. Then I want to secure this site for use with HTTPS. And actually, it's possible to do this at the same time, but I will show you how to do it separately so you can choose the way you want. Once the site is created, we want to navigate to the themes directory. We want to copy all content from my themes folder, and I haven't created yet, but I have a folder where all the zips for my themes are available. Then I want to activate the themes premium license. I want to define themes settings if needed. Then I want to activate my theme, and once my theme is activated, WordPress will allow me to delete default WordPress themes, and then the only remaining themes are the one I choose, so I can update all themes. So once this is done, we will have our WordPress installed, our themes installed and activated. So now we want to take care of our plugins. So we will do something similar. We will navigate to the plugins directory. I want to copy all content from my premium plugins directory. I want to delete WordPress default plugins. Then I want to install some plugins from the WordPress repository. This can be any plugin that you are used to install directly from the WordPress repository. Then I want to activate my premium plugins license. Once the license are there, I want to activate the plugins, and then I want to update the plugins. And once this is done, we have our WordPress site installed, we have our themes installed and active, we have our plugins installed and active, we have deleted the unused themes and plugins, and we are ready to launch the website. Okay, so that's what we have to do. So let's see how we will do all this. I'm back at the top of my file, and the first thing is to navigate to the site's directory. So this will depend on where you like to place your files on your computer. But in my case, I have created a code folder under my user account. So the first thing I can do is to change directory with the command cd. I'm going to my user root, so I use the tilde, which is the root for my user, my personal user tree structure. And then I will navigate to my code folder. That's where I store all my code related files. And then to the folder we just created, which is wp-sites. Once we are in this directory, we can create the new WordPress site with Valet. So you will find all the information in the documentation. So here it is on the WordPress CLI Valet command GitHub repository. In this README file, you have all the information needed. So you will use WP Valet new, then the name, and then a series of options that are described just below. So let's do this. WP Valet new. And then we need to give the name of our new website. It will be, for example, WP Valet new my website. But of course, we want our script to be reusable. We don't want to hard code any name in the script. So we will use here a parameter that will be passed when we call the script. So if in my terminal, I call my script wp create sh and then give it the name of the site I want to create, this name will be available in my script by calling $1. And you can attach up to 9 parameters to a bash script, and they will be available in your script by calling $1, $2, $3, $4, etc. And then we can give options. The first one will be the locale I want to use. So we do this by a /locale equal, and for this example, it will be en_US for the American English. Then we will give it the database name, DB name we want to create. And I like to prefix my database with WP, then underscore, and then use my site name by calling the parameter $1. Okay, everything inside my quotes. For the database user, this will depend on how you did configure your database. But as I am on my local development environment, I don't have security issues. So of course, you will not do something similar on a development environment. But on my local machine, my database user is root, which is the default, I think, when you create your MariaDB database. And the database password is an empty string. But of course, if you have defined a username for your database with a password, you would enter those values here in your script. Then we will define the WordPress admin user. So that's admin_user. And let's for now give it a username of admin. Then we will define the admin_password, and this will be equal to password. Once again, it's a local install. It will be accessible only from my machine. But on a real production environment, you will never choose password as your password, of course. Then we define the admin email. It will be you@yourdomain.com. And the last thing, because I told you I want to show you how to choose between HTTP or HTTPS for your development site. by default, Valet will create a site secured with HTTPS, but here I can give the option / unsecure, and this will create an HTTP site. Okay, so we can save and we can try if our website creation works as expected. So let's go back to our terminal. It's clear. I have my script here at the root of my directory. Perfect. And to use it, you just have to type sh to execute a shell script, a bash script, and then the name of our script, wp-create.sh, and then the name of the website we want to create, the one that will be used with our $1 parameter. Let's call it my first try, and then type enter. This is called Valet with all the parameters we gave it. And now our site is ready at HTTP because it was unsecure version at myfirsttry.test. And this is our site, HTTP unsecured. And if we try to log in using our very secure credentials, admin, password, that's perfect. We are in a default WordPress install, ready to go. So now let's go back to our script. And if we want to secure the site for HTTPS, we just use the command valet secure, and then the name of the site. So the name of the site is $1. So the next step is to navigate to the themes directory. So we'll change directory. And first we want to make sure we are in our code WP sites directory. And remember, this will be different depending on where you choose to install your local websites. And once I am in this directory, I will change directory to $1 to enter my current website directory / wp-content / themes. And now we are in the WordPress themes directory. And in this directory, I want to import the zip file for my premium themes. For this example, I will use Bricks Builder. And I want to show you how I'm organized. So the way I used to work in my WordPress sites directory, I have a folder, this one, which is named zips. And if I go into my zips, I have two folders inside it, a plugin folder and a themes folder. Inside the themes, I have my Bricks child theme and my current version of Bricks. And if I go up inside my plugins directory, I have Melabox and OxyProps, which are the two plugins that I want to install by default on my websites. Okay, and of course, either in your themes folder or your plugins folder, you can add as many zip files as you need for your install. So let's go back to our script. So if you remember, now we have changed directory to the site themes folder, and we want to copy in this folder all content from my themes zips folder. So the command will be cp for copy -a, and the -a is here to preserve file structure. And then I will give the source directory. So it's my user root /code /wp sites /zips /themes /star.zip. So I want to copy all zip files from this folder into the current folder, and to represent the current folder, I will give a dot, simple dot. Once this is done, I want to unzip, and inside of single quotes, star.zip. So this will unzip all the zip files. As I am on macOS, this might create a _ macOS X folder and I want to remove it. So I will rm remove -rf _ Mac OS X /. So if such a directory exists, it will be removed. And then everything is unzipped. So I want to delete the original zip file. So I will rm *.zip. Okay, so the thing you have to take care of here is this path, because this exact path is linked to the way I organize file on my personal computer. It may be different on yours, depending on where you choose to store your WordPress sites and where you choose to store your themes zip files and plugin zip file later. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Just in case, you will find in the video description a link to a GitHub repository where you can find this script file in case you want to check anything. Okay, so let's continue. We have now in our themes folder of our WordPress install, our premium theme. In our case, this will be Bricks and the Bricks child theme, but it's not yet activated. So the first thing we want to do, and what I'm showing you here is not actually supported by themes or plugins. It depends. Some theme creators or some plugin creators will give you information about how to activate your license for premium themes or premium plugins from the command line, but most of them won't. And as there is no standard for licensing premium plugins, each time you need to make a bit of research to understand if this can work and how this can work. But for now, let's say that we want to activate Bricks license from the command line. We will do this by inserting a value into the WordPress database, and this value will be the Bricks license key. So we'll use a command which is WP once again to call the WordPress CLI, and our command will be db for the database, and we will create a query, and we will now write a bit of SQL. So be careful when you write SQL because you are directly writing into the database. So it's extremely powerful, but there are no checks or no barriers to what you can do. So of course, for us, it's not a big problem. We are working on creating a new site or on a local test environment. So we cannot break anything. And if we break something, we can just delete the site and create a new one. But this is just to warn you that querying directly the database is powerful, but at the same time, it can be dangerous because it lets you do anything. This being said, what we want to do is to insert into, so this is the command we use to create a new value in the database, and then we will state in which table we want to insert something. And the table we are interested in is WP_options. And then inside parentheses, we will give the fields, or in database terms, the columns we want to fill. And there are option_name, comma, and option_value. Okay, and still inside our quotes, we will now state the values, and inside parentheses, we will give the values we want to give for the option name and the option value. So the option name, and this will be inside double quotes, will be Bricks_license_key, comma, and inside double quotes, you will give your Bricks license key. So of course, you will not write your Bricks license key, but you will write your actual license key, whatever it is. Okay, so obviously for the video, I will leave your Bricks license key, but you understand that you have to enter your actual license key here. So this will insert your license key into the database with this option name. And when you will activate Bricks, Bricks will search the database for an existing record for this option, will find it, and then will activate the license. Something else we have to do, because as this is not the exact way to activate the license, it's not officially supported by Bricks. When you activate the theme this way, you will notice that Bricks will not be activated to edit pages or posts. So we need to modify a setting to let Bricks know that we want it to edit our pages. So this will be another database query. So I will copy this line and in VS Code to copy a line. When I have my cursor on this line, I can press Option Shift arrow down, and this duplicates my line, and then Option arrow down will move my line, arrow down, down, arrow up, up. Okay, so it will start the same. We still want to insert into WP option, but another option. This time it will not be Bricks license key. It will be Bricks global underscore settings. And this one is a bit tricky. So let me copy the value and I will explain you what happens here. So this is a bit tricky to understand if you are not used to the way WordPress stores information into the database. But this is data that has been serialized, that's the term we use. So it can be stored as a string of text. So what we are storing in this setting is an array with only one element. That's what this A column 1 means. And then inside those curly brackets, our array is defined with a key, which is a string with 9 characters. And you will notice that I have double quotes. That's the way to escape a double quote in our database query, so that the system doesn't think that the string ends if I had only a single quote here. So the double quote will be interpreted as a single double quote inside my string of text. I hope this makes sense. And we will say that the post types that will be edited by Bricks are, and once again, this is an array, and this array has only one element with an index of 0 and a string of 4 characters, which is page. And once again, with double quotes. Okay, so you don't have to fully understand or memorize if you don't want to. If you want to use Bricks with this script, you just have to copy and paste this information and this will do the job. I just wanted to explain for those of you that like me, to know what's going on when we are writing something. Okay, so now we have inserted our license key. We have inserted an option that will tell Bricks that we want it to edit our pages. Now we can activate the themes, and we will use once again a WordPress CLI command, WP theme activate, and we will give it the name of the theme we want to activate. And for me, it will be Bricks -child. And if you are not using the Bricks child theme, you can just activate Bricks. Now that we have an active theme, we can delete the default themes. So this will be WP theme delete. And we need to list the ones we want to delete. So that will be 2021, 2022, and now 2023. And because I am not always downloading the new zip from the Bricks website or any other theme or any other plugin website, I may not have the latest version. So I want to update all the theme automatically. So I will use WP theme update -- all to update all themes, all install themes on my WordPress install. Let's save, and we can give a try to the script in this current state. And if everything works as expected, we should get a new WordPress site with Bricks installed, its license activated and set so that we can edit pages with Bricks on our website. So let's go to our terminal, navigate back to our WP sites. So let's create our website by calling sh wp create.sh. Bricks test, press enter. Okay, so it's finished. It looks to be okay because we see that our zip file have been copied and inflated. The brick child theme is activated. The 3 default themes have been deleted. And I have a message stating that the theme is already updated because I'm using the latest available version. So let's check bricks test.test and go to our admin dashboard. Admin, password, and we are in our dashboard. Bricks is installed. The license is here and the status is active. If I check the settings, Bricks is set to edit the pages. So our option did do the job. And the active theme is the Bricks child theme. So this works as expected. Now let's take care of our plugins. Okay, so this being done, I want to navigate to the plugins directory. So to save a bit of typing, let's copy this code and paste it. And this time it will be my plugins directory. I want to copy all content. So I will copy this code. And this time this will be my plugins directory. I want to delete the 2 default plugins, which are Hello Dolly and Akismet. So I will use WP plugin delete hello. That's the name, the slug of the Hello Dolly plugin, and WP plugin delete Akismet. Of course, if you want to keep them, don't delete them. Now we can install plugins from the repository. We don't need to have the zip files. We just need to know the name, the slug of those plugins. So for example, I want to install Metabox, the custom field framework. So this is WP plugin install, and then you give the name, the slug of the plugin, which is for this one meta-box. Now I want to activate my premium license. So I have 2 licenses to activate, the OxyProps license and the Metabox AIO license. So once again, to save some typing, let's copy this line. And for the first one, we'll take care of OxyProps. So it's still into WP options, the option name and the option value, and the value will be OxyProps. And this is the value you have to enter. As we saw earlier, this is a serialized array, but the only thing you have to change here is your OxyProps license key and replace this text with your actual license key. And let's duplicate this line. Remember, in VS Code, you can do this by pressing Option Shift arrow down. And the other option to activate Metabox will be meta_box_updater. And this is not valid, but for this one also, it is a serialized array. And here is the value. It's an array with 1 element. The key is API key, and the value is your Metabox license key. Okay, once we have our license key in the database, we can activate the plugins. WP plugin activate _all. And then we can update the plugin. WP plugin update _all. And at this step, everything should be ready. We have our website. We have the Bricks theme installed. We have the OxyProps and the Metabox plugin installed, updated. We can launch the website. And to launch the website, we can use simply open and then give the URL https:// And once again, we want it to be dynamic. So we will use $1 to get the name of the website, .test, our extension. And as I want to access directly my login form, I will add /wp-admin. Let's save and give a try to our script. So let's create a new site, sh wp-create.sh, full test. I give my password to secure the HTTPS. Our themes are being installed, our plugins are being installed, the site is launched, and we directly access the login form. Admin, password, and we are logged in. Bricks is installed, of course, we already checked that, but now we have Metabox, we have OxyProps, and if I check my license, it is activated and valid. And for Metabox, it's also active and valid. So that's very nice, but we still have ways to improve the process. So first, and I'm back to the top of my script, what if I don't want to use the default admin and password for all of my site, but I want to be able to choose a username and a password when I call my script? Well, we know that we can use the script parameters. We have done so with the $1 here. So what we can do is to replace our admin user by $2 and our password by $3. And this way I can choose custom credentials. So that's the name of our site, then a space, and I will give a second parameter that will be my username. It will be Cedric, for example. And then I give my password that will be test password, for example. And let's check if this works. So let's try. My username should be Cedric. My password should be test password. And this works. I can log in with these custom credentials. Okay, but now I have set these parameters, so I need to give a username and a password. But maybe I want to make this optional, and I want to be able to either use default values or specify a username and a password. So in order to make this optional, I will modify this, and my $2 would become, and I will open and close curly brackets, and I will define a user, and here I will define a pass. Okay, and then I will create some logic. So if a username is given, use it, otherwise use default value. And I will use a if-then statement to check for a condition, and in a bash script to use a if statement, you will write if with your condition, then do something, else do something else, and fi to end the if statement. So what I want to check, and I will open square brackets, I want to check if my second parameter used to call my script is empty or not. So I will use a -z and $2, and this will check if my second parameter is either null or equal to the empty string. So if it's null, my user value will be equal to admin. That's my default username. Else, my user value will be equal to $2. And now let's deal with the password. So I will copy, I select all of these lines, and once again, Option Shift arrow down. This will duplicate the block, and I will make the same check for my $3, which is the password. If it's empty, my pass, and we will circle back later. And if it's not empty, I will use the value given as a parameter. And here, I don't want to use a default password, but I would like to generate a random password each time. So to do this, I will use OpenSSL and I will assign the value $ to have something dynamic, open and close parentheses. And inside this parenthesis, I will give the following value, OpenSSL rand for a random. I will choose the hexadecimal version with a value of 6. And I just want to show you what this does. So I select it, switch to my terminal. So if I execute this piece of code, OpenSSL rand-x6, I get a random string of characters. And it's different each time I execute this code. So I will use this to generate a random password. So you can check if OpenSSL is already installed on your system by calling OpenSSL version. So I can see that it's installed. If it's not, you can once again use Homebrew with the brew install OpenSSL. And once you press enter, this installs OpenSSL and you can then execute this code and get a random string of characters. So this is what we will use to generate a random password. And as we did generate a random password, we must give our users this value. So at the end of our script, maybe just before launching the website, we will give user information and we will echo, your new website is ready. On another line, echo front end column and then the site address, https $1.test / echo backend column https $1.test / wp-admin echo username $curly brackets user echo password column $curly brackets pass. Okay, let's save and try this new script. sh wp-create.sh optional pass, for example. I will specify my username, but no password. Okay, so I'm on my login screen. My username is Cedric and my password should be this random string of text. So let's try it. Cedric. I'll copy the string and try to log in. And this works as expected. And that's perfect. So at this stage, we are able, with a single command in our terminal, to create a website, to create a new WordPress website with custom credentials. We are able to generate a random string of text as a password and to install and update and to install, activate, and update automatically our themes and plugins. So it's already pretty cool, I think, but maybe one last step is that it would be even better if we didn't need to enter our credentials to access the site and if we could automatically log in into our newly created WordPress site. Well, this is possible, and we will go back to Evan Mattsson's website, and we have already used its Valet script to use Valet with WP-CLI, and we will now use his login package. So let's click on it. Let's go to the source and look for the installation instructions. So all you have to do is to copy this command and back to your terminal, paste it, run it, and it's very fast. Now the script is installed. So we will modify the end of our script. So let's comment this line because I don't need it anymore. And I will create an automatic login to my site with two steps. The first one, if you remember back at the beginning of this video, when I did demonstrate the script, I had an additional plugin installed in my demo WordPress site, which was the WordPress CLI login plugin. That's the one we need now. So the first thing to do is to install it with WP login. And this is the package we just installed that allows us to do it. Install with --activate to activate it immediately. And then we will WP login as, and we will give our user. So we want to log in as our user and to launch the website. And let's make sure I spell things properly, otherwise it will not work. So this is not launch, this is launch with an N. Let's save and give a try to our final version of the script. So back in our terminal, sh wp-create.sh final, that will be the name of our website. I will give it a username of Cedric and no password. So it's creating the site. The site is ready. It's asking for my password to secure the site. It's inflating and activating the themes, the plugins. It's installing the companion plugin and launching the website with the automatic login. And I'm now logged in my new WordPress site as the user Cedric. Bricks is installed, Metabox is installed, OxyProps is installed, everything is active, the licenses are valid, and I'm ready to start working with my new site. I'm just showing you what happened at the end before it launched the site. So the last plugin we added, the WP-CLI, the companion plugin, was installed. The login server was activated. Then it created the magic login link, that's this one. And this link has a lifetime of 15 minutes or is destroyed as soon as it is used. And by the way, I did use it in this script, but this package can be installed on any WordPress site. You can install it on a production website to generate magic links for passwordless logins. Before we finish, I want to show you one last thing. So back to our WordPress CLI Valet command GitHub repository. Let's go down to the installation, and in the troubleshooting section, we have configuring alternate defaults. And you have this reference to a configuration file, a YAML file, YML file. So let's copy it, and back to our terminal, I want to call VS Code with this file path. This is a configuration file that was created during the package installation, and I want to show you the configuration I use because you may want to use the same one. So in our script, we did give some default options to the valet new command. In this config, you can define defaults if no options are given to the command. So you can define a default user, a default password, and a default email and a default locale. You can also define the default database user and the default database password. And more interesting, you can add additional PHP to your WP config file. So those 4 first lines are the configuration I use for debug. When you use WordPress and you turn debug on with PHP 8 and over, you get a bunch of warnings for deprecated functions. WordPress needs to do a bit of cleanup in the code base, and it will force you to deactivate debug mode if you want to be able to do anything with your WordPress site, because by default, all these warnings appear on your screen. So in my dev environment, I want the debug to be true because I want error logs. I want the debug log to be true because I want to log errors in an error log file, but I want the debug display to be false because I don't want the errors to be visible on my screen. And you also need to give the ini_set display error a value of 0. And then depending on what you want to do, you can also increase the memory limit. And I use 256 megabytes. And you can also increase or modify the set timeout limit. And mine is set to 180 seconds. Okay, so whatever values you write here, they will be written when you create your site in the wp-config file. If we check, for example, let's cd into our final one and let's open our wp-config. So this is the wp-config file that was created by Valet create script. And those values were added. And maybe you are used to editing this file. You add your custom values between these two lines of text. So they have been added for us just at the correct place. And I also show you earlier that it's possible to share your site with an externally accessible link. So this time I'm back to Laravel Valet documentation and we can go to sharing sites. And there are two options that are explained here. The one I use is sharing site via expose. So for this, you will have to install expose. You can create an account and there's a free plan that you can use. And if you need custom domains and if you need more options, the service is currently $44 per year. Once your account is created, you can go to the docs and look for the installation instruction. And as we have installed Composer, we can use Composer and run this command to install expose. And then this second command to make sure it is accessible globally on our computer. And once this is installed and you have created your account, in your account you will be given a token. Then you need to set up your token and you will have from your user account something like this that will be given to you, expose token with a code. So you will have to run this command with the specific token that will be given to your user account. And when this is done, you can just from within the website folder. So here I am inside my final folder. I can run expose and I get an external link that can be accessed and your site becomes accessible from this link. You see that the server is running. And when you want to stop this external link, you just have to press Ctrl+C and this will stop the link sharing. And that's it for this video. We have seen a lot of things together. I hope you learned a lot. Remember, you will find the links in the video description. You will also find a link to a GitHub repository I will set up with the scripts we have seen today together. As usual, if you found this video useful, please press the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. And I know a lot of you haven't because more than 70% of the views are from non-subscribers. I wish you a lot of good website builds and I'll see you in the next video.